What's up everyone, Mandy here from On The Grow, and today I'm going to be showing you how we grow Red Acre Cabbage from start to finish. So stay tuned for the walkthrough. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is obviously your seeds. So over here we have our Red Acre Cabbage seeds, which we got from True Leaf Market. You're also going to need some form of measuring out your seeds. So I've gone ahead and busted out the old tablespoons, which we usually don't use because we have a scale, but we're going to be using that today. You're also going to need cocoa coir for your medium, and you're going to need 3 different trays. First tray you're going to need is a tray that has absolutely no holes. Then you're going to need your next tray, which does have holes. And the reason why this is because your medium is going to be going into this, and you're going to need those roots to be able to go through and go to your bottom tray and suck up the water that is going to be held there. And then lastly, you're going to need another tray that has absolutely no holes, preferably a dark one, because that's going to be acting as your top tray, which is your tray that's going to be for blackout and for your weight to go on top of. The reason why we do this is so that way we get even germination across the whole tray. So now, that was a lot, let's go over to our seeds once again, and we are going to measure them out. So I went ahead and just kind of did this earlier, and I know that 20 grams of seed is roughly 2 tablespoons. So that's 1. And see if I can get this exact. Oop, I went slightly over, but that's pretty close. So as you can tell, it's just under 2 tablespoons. So now that we have that, we are actually going to just set this aside, and we're going to move on to our cocoa coir. Okay, so now we have moved the table out of the way, and we are going to be dealing with this big thing. So this is cocoa coir, and it comes in a super compact brick. So what you have to do is you're going to need something to break it down in. In our case, we have this big little tub right here. So what we'll do is we'll take this out of the plastic, we're going to set the brick in there, and then you begin to add water. And over time, you'll see it just kind of rise up, and it's actually like a kind of cool magic trick. But we're gonna do that until this whole brick is break down. You don't have to break the whole brick down if you're not going to use it, but we know in our space, we're probably gonna be using it for the next week or so. So we're just gonna go ahead and do the whole thing. So stay tuned for a time lapse. Okay, so now we have finished breaking down our cocoa coir brick, and as you can tell, it makes a lot. So what you're going to need is your tray that has the holes, and you can use your hands, but I'm gonna just use a little scoop because I just like to. And we're gonna begin putting the cocoa on to your hold tray. So start spreading it. Just try to, oop, sometimes it slips. Just try to get it as even as possibly can. If you find any big chunks, kind of like this inside your cocoa, just try to break them down a little bit. But just try to get this as even as you can. You don't want areas that come up too high and then a bunch of low areas, because that will mess with your germination. So you need to sprinkle a little bit more. Just need a little bit over here, a little bit right there, and a little bit more in that corner. Okay, so now my tray is pretty decently even, and I'm going to go wash my hands off real fast, and then we'll go over the next steps. Okay, so now that we have our grow medium into our tray, we are back over at the table where we're going to take that seed that we set aside, and we're going to begin seeding the tray. So CJ is usually a lot better at this than I am, but I'm going to do my best here. What you want to do is just try to evenly distribute this across your tray. You want to make sure you don't really get any big clumps, because then, you know, whenever it starts to grow, you're gonna have one dense area and then you just don't get as good of airflow. Okay. Make sure there's no spots I'm missing. All right, so that is all of our seeds on our cocoa core, and I did my best to keep that as even as possible. And now that we have finished that, I'm going to take this is how we water in our space sometimes. It's just hooked up to a filtered water system, and I keep this on a mist setting, so it's just very fine mist. It's not gonna pour a ton of water onto this, but we're just gonna go through real quick, and we are going to mist our seeds. I want to give it a pretty decent mist because this is basically going to be a lot of its water source for the first few days. So let's get this nice and good. All right. So now I feel good with that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our tray that has our seed and we're going to move it on top of the tray that will later be used for bottom watering. Right now there's absolutely no water in this bottom tray, and there won't be water in this bottom tray until we start to get to that point where you see roots. Now for the very last step, we're going to take the top tray, the other no hole, we're going to set this right on top of the seeds, and I'm going to take this big old paver, this is 15 pounds, and we are going to gently put that on top, and this is how it's going to remain for the first 4 days, I believe. We're going to do 4 days weighted. This is what we mean when we say weighted, and then after that we're going to remove this brick and set it aside, and then what we do is we flip the tray, and that will be the next part of the blackout period. But that's it for this part. From here on out, we're going to do any updates on anything else that changes, and also show you how each day progresses with the grow. So stay tuned for more of the steps. Okay, so it is day 1 of our Red Acre Cabbage grow, and I'm going to show you what we usually do. So we're going to come over here and pull this off of the shelf real quick, and we are going to move it to our table. We're then going to remove the brick and set it aside. And then we're going to remove this tray and set it aside too. But first, as you can see, there's some seeds on it. So let's just try to get those off the best that you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And now what we're going to do is we are going to lightly mist all of the seeds and make sure that they are saturated. And that way it can continue to germinate evenly. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. So now I am going to take our tray, put it back on top, take our brick, put this back on top as well, and we are going to take this now and move it back to our shelf. So we will do that twice a day. So it means later tonight we're going to come back out, double check it, make sure that it still looks saturated, and if it needs more water, we'll give it a light mist, and we will do that exact same process and put it back on the shelf. So that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow. Okay, so today is the morning of day 2, and we are going to pull out this Red Acre cabbage, and we're going to bring it back to our table like we did yesterday. We're going to remove this brick carefully. And then we're going to take off the top tray. Make sure there's no seeds on it. This time's actually a lot better than it was yesterday. And as you can tell, there's germination starting to happen. And what we're going to do now is the exact same thing that we did yesterday. So right now this has not rooted at all, so we shouldn't have to give it any water down here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take our misting bottle and give it a good mist. Okay. that should be pretty good. And just like yesterday, put this back on top. Put your brick carefully back on top. And then we're going to take it back to the shelf again. And then we will come back out later tonight and do the exact same thing. So I'll see you tomorrow. All right, so today is day 3 of our Red Acre Cabbage, and we are going to pull it off the shelf, bring it over to our table. We're going to get this brick off, which this time I'm going to set out on the floor. And then we're going to take off this. Looks like we got a little bit of stuff on it. It's not that bad though. Try to tap that off. They didn't all want to come off, so that's okay. Looks like we're getting really great germination. Let's try to take a peek underneath and see what's going on. Okay, so we are getting a few little roots down here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to lightly mist the bottom with just this. And this way the roots don't dry out, because you do not want your roots to turn brown. Okay. And then we are going to lightly mist the top. Okay. Seems pretty good. And now we're going to put the tray back on top. And we're going to grab our brick and very gently put it back on. And we're now going to move it back to the shelf again. So later tonight, we're going to come back out to the space. We're going to check this time. We're going to check the top part and we're going to check underneath and see if both need to be misted. See you tomorrow. Okay, so today is day 4 of the Red Acre Cabbage, and we are going to pull this off the shelf. All right. We're going to bring it to our table. We're going to pull off the brick. And this time we're actually going to be putting the brick back where we usually store them, because we are not going to need it anymore. So now we're going to pull off this tray. And everything looks really good. I'm very happy with all that germination. We're going to go ahead and mist the top a little bit real quick. So we're just going to mist this a little bit. It doesn't look like it needs a lot of water, so I don't want to go too overboard. Okay, and now we're going to check underneath, see how that's doing. Okay, so right now we got a pretty decent amount of roots. Since it's so early, I'm not going to give this nutrient yet. I'm just going to mist it today, and we will check in tomorrow and see how it looks. So there's a little bit of a mist, and that should be plenty. So today, like I said, we are removing the weight. We are no longer doing weight. And what we're going to do now is our tray that was like this, we're going to take it, flip it over, and we are going to put it like this. So now it is in our other phase of blackout. And now we're going to take it and put it back onto the shelf. So later, whenever I come out, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to check it and see if it needs to be misted again on both the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to put it underneath the blackout tray just like that. So we will see you tomorrow. All right, today is day 5 of our Red Acre Cabbage. So we are going to pull it off of the shelf, bring it over to our table, and check and see what it is looking like under the blackout. So right away, I can tell it's looking really great, but personally, I want this to stretch a little bit more, because I know that with Red Acre Cabbage, once you take it out of the blackout dome, it tends to kind of just stay where it's at, and it doesn't grow too much taller. And I want this to be a little taller, so that way whenever I go to harvest it, it's a lot easier, and also I get a little bit more product. So what I'm going to do now, let's check underneath here. See how everything's looking. Getting some good roots here. I'm not going to begin bottom watering this yet until it comes out of Blackout. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to do what we've been doing, and we're going to lightly mist it. Okay. And this way we don't get any browning on the roots, and they continue to stay that beautiful white color that you see there. So that's pretty good. As for the top of this, I don't think I need to mist it at all. I'll check back later tonight and see if it needs it by then. But right now it seems like it has a lot of moisture and it's perfect. So now we're going to put this back on top like we had it. And we are going to move it back onto our shelf. So now tonight I'll come out, I'll double check the roots again, and also just take a peek and see what's going on underneath my Blackout and see if I still want to continue to do another day of Blackout, or if I change my mind, I will update that. But that's it for today. What's up everyone? Today is day 6 of our Red Acre Cabbage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this off of the shelf, and we are going to bring it over to our table. We are going to take a peek underneath the Blackout. So it is now at the height that I want it to be at, and we did 3 days weighted and 3 days Blackout. And this is perfect in my opinion, so I'm no longer going to keep it underneath this. So it means that we do not need this. So I'm just gonna put this over here out of my way. Now that we are coming into the light today, what I'm gonna begin doing is we are going to start bottom watering this, because those roots are looking very happy. And let's go over here and get that. We already have our nutrient water mixed up, and this is going to be Ocean Solution 2-0-3. And since these are just going into light for the first time, I'm only going to give them a half a cup of water because they do not need a lot of water yet. So let's go ahead and get them some water. That's too much. A little bit less. Okay. Oh. CJ stepped on the cord a little bit. Okay, so now we're just going to give them a little bit of water today and start the bottom watering process. So that is actually it. Now we're just going to move this over here, and they're going to be introduced to the light. So from this point on, what we're going to do is we're going to water them with half a cup of water today in the morning and at night. And throughout the growth period, as they need more water, we're going to begin giving them more. It's a lot to say. But I will update you along the way on when you need to begin giving them more water. So that is it today. I will see you tomorrow. All right, so today is day 7 of our Red Acre Cabbage grow. We are going to pull it off the shelf and take it over to our handy dandy table again. So everything is looking really great here. It's still looking completely even. The growth looks really good. And now that it's been in the light, it's beginning to get its true color, which is looking super pretty. I know that this will actually get a little bit darker than what it looks right now. So this should be even prettier tomorrow. But what we're going to do today is we are going to just add some bottom water to this. I'll be adding, I think, a cup of water today. So half a cup more than what we added yesterday, because I'm noticing that in parts of the soil, forgot which side, but in parts of the soil, it's starting to get a little bit drier in areas, and that's telling me that it needs more water. So let's just add a little bit more. And we are still adding the Ocean Solution as our nutrient water. So that's about a cup. And now we're just gonna lift this, pour it into there. Since my tray is tilted forward a little bit, I'm just gonna do that so it soaks up a little bit. And now we are going to go put this back on the shelf, back under the light. So tonight we will come back out again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it back onto my table, and I'm going to add another cup of water, and that will be it for today. So I'll see you tomorrow. Today is day 9 of our Red Acre Cabbage, so we are going to pull it off of the shelf again, and we're going to move it over here to our table. So it's still looking really good. Everything's looking pretty uniform. Our soil is not dry, but it's like kind of damp. So today we're going to be giving it a little over half, or a little under a cup and a half. And as you can tell, the roots are still looking really happy. So it's really good. Now let's pour this in there. And we're good. So now let's go move this back to the shelf and put it back underneath the light. Okay, so that is it for this morning. I'm going to come back out later tonight and do the exact same thing. So I'll see you tomorrow. Today is day 11 of our Red Acre Cabbage grow, and yesterday I didn't do it on video, but we came out and we did exactly what we are doing today, which we are going to pull this over to our table, and we checked it to see how the soil medium's looking. As I can tell, there's some dry spots, especially near the back. So we're going to be giving it a cup and a half of our ocean solution water mixture, and that is it for today. And I'm actually going to tilt this backwards a little bit because the back is drier than the front is. So that tells me it might just be unleveled. But this is about, I don't know, anywhere between 2 to 3 days from harvest right now. We're still waiting on the true leaf, but it appears that we are getting closer to that. So we'll just continue to do what we're doing, and I'm going to put this back underneath the light today. See you tomorrow. Today is day 12 of our Red Acre Cabbage, so we are going to pull it off of the shelf, bring it over to this table, and we are going to look what we have going on here. So the growth is very even. I'm actually very happy with how this is turning out. As far as true leaf, it looks like we're just now starting to get little signs of them. So that means that this is very close to harvest right now. And for our medium, there are some dry spots, so it definitely needs its water. And our roots are still looking really good. So let's go ahead and take our 2 cups of ocean solution water mixture, and we are going to bottom water this tray. And like I did yesterday, I believe, I'm going to kind of tilt this back a little bit because I know that the back side of my tray is drier than the front side. So that means that it's just on an uneven surface right now. But that is it for today. We're going to take it back to our shelf and put it back underneath this light. And later tonight, I'm going to come out and do the exact same process. And I'd say we're probably about maybe 2 more days away from harvest on this. So soon we're going to have some Red Acre cabbage to eat. Today is day 13 of our Red Acre Cabbage grow. And what we're doing different today is actually going to be harvest day. So I've already brought this over to my table and I have my whole setup already here. So if you come in closer, I can show you why today is going to be harvest day. So what I'm noticing first off is there's some areas right here where the microgreens are beginning to separate from each other. So that means that they're starting to get too tall. So that tells me that I want to go ahead and harvest this. On top of, in some little areas, I am seeing some of the true leaf forming. It's a little hard to kind of find right now, but there is true leaf poking through on some of these. So that also tells me it is time to harvest these. So we will not be watering these today, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our sharpened knife, and for us we're going to be doing a scale and a bowl to harvest into because we like to take our data. So we're just going to begin harvesting this. So you just kind of lightly grab the microgreens. You don't really have to put a lot of pressure on them. And, oh, probably help if I turn my scale on. Okay, and there you go. And the reason why you want your knife sharp is so that it can easily glide through the microgreens without putting a lot of pressure on it, because you don't want it to kind of just snap them. You want it to just go smoothly through it, like this. See how easy that was? It also makes it a lot quicker whenever you're harvesting. Oh, and I almost forgot. Something else I noticed whenever I was checking out my tray is that there is a little bit of late blooming going on, which basically that just means there are some within the canopy that are shorter than the rest of them. That's because they were a little bit behind on germinating. So ways to fix that would be to lower your seed density. So we did 21 grams on this. So next time I'm going to do 17 grams instead, and that should fix that issue. Red Acre Cabbage is once again another one of the pretty crops. I love the purple on this. It's very similar to purple kohlrabi. I would say what makes it different is Red Acre Cabbage tends to be a little darker of a hue than the purple kohlrabi is. Also smells amazing. And then also another thing you'll probably notice is I'm not harvesting super close to the bottom of the tray. The reason for this is because we are using a cocoa coir medium. I don't want to get that all over my product and get it into everything, because that means that I would have to take the time and wash everything, because you don't want to eat the soil with your greens. I mean, I don't think it causes any harm, but it's just not something that I would enjoy. So I just try to avoid that the best that I can. All right, so we're almost done. Look at this little corner that I got. It smells amazing. All right, so we got 287 grams from our 21 grams of seed. That's pretty awesome. I'm very happy with that. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at our actual tray and what was going on that we couldn't see. So everything looks really good. I'm not seeing any of the seed molding or anything like that. Everything looks really healthy in these stems. So something else that we're gonna do now that we've harvested this, let's just kind of find a way to grab one of these corners and we can actually take a look at the full-on root system we have going on down here. It's actually really cool to look at and seeing how interwoven they are with each other. And it's another good way after you've harvested to kind of just see if there's anything going on that you didn't catch. Because we know that if you get dampened off, whenever you go and you look at that root that you can't normally see, there's usually some areas where it's just super brown in spots, and that can be caused from overwatering or other things. So it is good to check out your roots and just kind of see what's going on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now that I have harvested this, I'm going to move this out of my way and we will take care of that later. And I'm going to ask CJ, my cameraman, to give me a bag so that way I can just put this all in there and I can store it in our fridge. So CJ, can you grab me a bag? Thank you. Thank you. So now let's get this open. Oh, good point. One thing we always do is, even if we know what crop it is, we still write it on our bag, and we always write what date it is, so that way we know when we harvested it and what it is. Because whenever you get crops that look similar and you put them in a bag and you put them in the same area, you might forget which one's which. It's a mistake that happens. I've definitely done it a few times and it can be very confusing. So, okay.
I'll hold the bag.
Oh, thank you. Ooh, we still need to do a taste test as well. I'll do that right after I bag all this. So this is some really good looking product. Can't wait to use this. Okay. That's pretty good. All right, let's do a quick taste test. Bloop. It tastes really good. So to me, it just kind of tastes like most other brassicas. It just all has a very similar taste. I just think the biggest difference usually is your coloration. That is it for this grow. We have done this from seeding all the way up until harvest day. And I hope that we were able to guide you through this whole process easily and that it was easy to understand as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give it a thumbs down. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. And if you'd like to subscribe to us, please do. I think it's over here. And then also we have more videos that will pop up over here if you want to check those out. And our Instagram and Facebook are both at On The Grow Farms. Thank you so much and have a great day.